The Shelby legacy isn't over. Even though Peaky Blinders wrapped up its six-season run in 2022, the world of Tommy Shelby and his criminal empire is far from finished. A brand new Peaky Blinders sequel series has officially been announced. It is bringing us back to the gritty streets of Birmingham, this time with a new generation ready to carry the torch. Today, here at Loreverse, we're diving deep into everything we know so far: the story, the timeline, confirmed details, returning faces, and what this means for the future of the franchise. So, after years of speculation, it's finally confirmed. Peaky Blinders is getting a sequel series. Creator Stephen Knight had planned a feature film to follow the show's ending. And yes, we are still getting the movie, and that's going to end Tommy Shelby's story. And now Netflix and BBC are moving forward with a new two-season series. Now, each season will reportedly feature 6 episodes, just like the original show. And the story will pick up after World War II, diving into post-war realities of Britain, a time that's politically unstable, socially tense, and ripe for criminal empires to rise. Now, one of the biggest details we know is the timeline. The new series is set in 1953, several years after the events of the original finale, and that's key. The world has changed drastically since Tommy Shelby's rise to power, and World War II has reshaped Britain and Europe, and new political movements are emerging, and organized crime itself is evolving. And this new series will center on a new generation of Shelbys like Tommy's children and the possibility of descendants of other key family members. Now, think of it as the next chapter of the Shelby story, one that explores how this family's influence carries on into the new, more modern era. And with the 1950s setting, expect a different atmosphere. We're talking about post war reconstruction, Cold War tensions brewing in the background, and an underworld adapting to new technologies and new enemies. Now, the question everyone has is this: will Cillian Murphy return as Tommy Shelby? While nothing is officially confirmed about him reprising his iconic role on screen, we do know that Cillian is deeply involved behind the scenes. He's been confirmed as an executive producer for the series, which means he's helping shape the direction of the show, the tone, and the future of the Shelby family. And here's where things get interesting. Stephen Knight has previously hinted that Tommy Shelby's story isn't entirely over. Even though the sequel is about a new generation, it could be possible that, that Murphy could appear in some form, whether if that's a mentor figure, a symbolic presence, or even a major cameo, because Tommy's shadow looms over this large world, right? And it's hard to imagine a Shelby story without at least a glimpse of the man who built the empire. But what I think is going to happen, though, is, the movie is going to be Tommy Shelby getting his last, go around story with, I think, him with the new characters in his movie. And I think that's what's going to push, the new sequel cast of Peaky Blinders into that new show. So, what will this new series actually explore, right? While official plot details are still tightly under wraps, Knight has described it as a story about legacy, right? The Shelby name carries power, but also danger, and the next generation will have to navigate that double-edged sword. So we'll likely see the children and relatives of the original cast dealing with the fallout of Tommy's empire, right? Enemies made, alliances forged, and power structures that may no longer work in a new world. Organized crime in the 1950s isn't the same as it was in the 1920s. And the Italian and Irish mobs are rising in influence, right? International smuggling is becoming more common. Think about like the MI5 and the MI6, they're watching everything closely. And the series could also dive deeper into global politics, right? Showing how British crime families interact with new powers like the US or the Soviet influence. And with Britain still rebuilding from the war, opportunities for wealth, both legal and illegal, are really everywhere. So while the show focuses on a new generation, don't be surprised if some familiar faces return beyond Cillian Murphy's possible involvement. Actors like Arthur Shelby have expressed interest in returning if the story makes sense. Even small appearances from our original cast members could help bridge the gap between the original series and the new chapter. But I wouldn't even worry about that because the main focus will be on the fresh blood, the new Shelbys, new enemies, and new allies. Think of it like how Better Call Saul, right, expanded the Breaking Bad universe. Familiar DNA, but new characters leading the story. And there are a few big rumors floating around the fandom already. One is that the sequel will tie directly into Stephen Knight's planned Peaky Blinders movie. I'm pretty sure it comes out next year, 2026, and may serve as the bridge between the original series and the sequel. Another rumor is that the new protagonist will be Tommy's son, Charles Shelby, now an adult and potentially following in his father's footsteps or trying to escape his family shadow. There's also talk of a female lead Shelby taking center stage as well, representing a shift in power dynamics and showing how the family evolves in a changing world. And given Knight's comments about expanding the Peaky Blinders universe into a broader saga, this might not just be one spinoff. It could be the beginning of a whole new chapter of interconnected stories. Now, the series is officially greenlit for 2 seasons, each with 6 episodes, and will premiere on Netflix and BBC, just like the original show. While no official release date has been confirmed yet, filming is expected to begin sometime maybe this year, meaning we could maybe see a show or premiere, my guess, in 2027. I don't think that they're putting anything out until we see that Peaky Blinders movie. And that gives plenty of time for more news, casting announcements, and story teases to surface. And you can bet we'll be covering all of them right here. So, the Peaky Blinders sequel series isn't just another spinoff, it's the evolution of one of the most iconic crime dramas of the last decade. By jumping forward in time, introducing a new generation, and exploring a changed world, it has a chance to keep the Shelby legacy alive while telling bold new stories. With Cillian Murphy producing, Stephen Knight still writing, and Netflix and BBC fully behind the project, everything is lining up for this to be a worthy successor to Tommy Shelby's story. And if done right, this could become one of the most exciting crime series of the next decade. Because remember, no matter how much time passes, by the order of the Peaky Blinders, the story never ends. Thank you guys for watching. We'd love to hear how you guys feel about the Peaky Blinders show being greenlit. What you want to see, what you don't want to see. Do you want Tommy to come back? Even though it's going to be like an old man, he might die in a movie. Don't know. But we'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. Please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. And peace out.